Hello, my friends. We are very happy that we are together today. And I'm also very happy because I have with me a friend and a great astrologer from a neighboring country, Hakan Kirkoglu, live now from Istanbul and Athens. Hi, Hakan.
Hi, Christo. How are you?
I'm fine. And are you okay there?
I'm fine. Today, as we had some kind of cyber attack to Turkish internet providers. So my computer went crazy. It went crazy, and I have, as you see, some problems with my microphone. So fortunately, because of your help, then I'm connected through to you with my iPhone. So I hope it's okay for you too.
Yeah, but for some reason also I have some connection problems. So this is an Eastern Mediterranean story you don't understand. And
But actually, in any case, we can communicate, so we are aid of science.
yeah. But at least I'm sure that the friends in ISA right now can hear us, and I hope we will have plenty of comments and people that they want to learn you more. So first, I'm going to ask you about all of this hysteria and all of this amount of information about 2020, and what is your point of view about these planetary cycles and what we can expect from this year, what it's the symbol of this year.
I see. Well, I have been writing, and also I had some presentation about the Saturn and Pluto last year. Actually, I gave a lecture in Helsinki, in Finland, and of course, this is a cycle of destruction, but in the meantime, reconstruction, because the combination is not something an easy one or something very inspiring. But in the meantime, I think now in the history, while history making, we are at the moment of, as if we are in the end of an era, but also we need to, we are in a transition period. So I think the structures now are being updated, changing, and a new shifts in everywhere in our life, especially in politics, in global politics, where established structures now changing and shattering, like even, for example, in UK, even in monarchy, like British monarchy, we can see this sea of changes, I think, in the entire world. But I think this is not something just for, especially for this year. I think there will be ups and downs because of the transit of Mars. Also will be connected with this combination, while Mars will be transiting Capricorn soon. But later also in the second half of the year, there will be a retrograde motion of Mars in Aries. So I think we are on a very bumpy road, and this is rather very dangerous. In fact, because when political changes and all sorts of old structures are falling apart, there might be kind of even, the world is at war in a way, in many stances in many places, in Libya, in Mediterranean, in Syria, everywhere there is a major changes. Political structures are changing, and I'm quite actually anxious about it. In our personal lives too, I think, especially where Capricorn in our natal chart, I think in that house now we are having a tremendous changes and very intense, maybe a kind of a fear also, because change always come with a fear. But in the meantime, I think this is something, and it is something, like earthquakes. We need to release this tension, not in global sense, but also in our personal life. So this must be something inescapable change and irreversible change in both mundane terms, but also in our personal lives, I can say.
And in the long term, because we know that we have this change of the Jupiter-Saturn conjunction, which is, I think, in a Hellenistic perspective, much more interesting, because you are an Hellenistic astrologer. Your job is mainly based on Hellenistic astrology and traditional techniques. So this shift from the earth signs to the air signs, for a Hellenistic astrologer, what would that mean? What a Hellenistic astrologer should expect?
Yeah, well, this is not the concept of the Hellenistic astrology. I mean, it is more or less
Arabic.
It is more or less Persian.
Yeah.
But this is, of course, not only a 20 years change, but it is kind of a 240 years major mutation. So, yeah, well, it is, I mean, this is why it is so big. It's a very big, how can I say, seismic activity. Like, I mean, not only because during normally there are three layers or three levels of these conjunctions. Like, we have these minor ones, 20 years periods, but also for 240 years for the median change or medium change. But also, if you make it, the grand circle, it is almost 1,000-year change. But for these 240 years, I think this is not only something, a power change, but this is something, a change of civilization. It is a shift in our human history. Is I mean, at a very big transition period. I mean, now the whole, you look at the last 250 years, that there was an industrial revolution. The economies were based on the coal and the oil and the earth resources. But now, so we are leading to a kind of a new economy, maybe based on artificial intelligence. And as you see, we are connected to Wi-Fi's, and everything is, the information society is now maybe taking shape. So whole economy, whole politics, and this is the moment that now we are already in it, because normally the last Jupiter-Saturn conjunction, there was a conjunction in 1980 in the sign of Libra. So there was there was already it already began the process.
Yeah, it started the cycle.
Yeah, I mean, now we are almost into a new, Aquarian age.
Mm-hmm.
Not, in terms of astrological ages, but so interestingly, this is now already we are in it. So I am very because the whole thing is very unpredictable. I mean, I can't say because we already know that this is the change for maybe a shift of power balance in the world in a way. But as I say, it's a change of civilization. It is a change of structures. But because of it also aligns with Saturn Pluto combination, this would be rather very how can I say heavy changes and very drastic changes in terms of maybe because of the military risks also are at great. There are higher probability of military clashes between certain blocks of human civilizations. So it makes me very anxious about it in a way. And also, as you see, Pluto will be in Aquarius in a few years' time. It will also bring even more fundamental changes in how people's lives are conducted or monitored, or how about the maybe how can I say the structures of our democracy or our governance style of governance. Pluto Aquarius, we are not there yet, but I think eventually there will be a new structure taking shape, global change, kind of which affects everyone's life through maybe through political actions and our social responsibilities, our social structures are being changed. Maybe in the end, of this century, in the end of 21st century, maybe there would be a major one government like this. I mean, because everything will be controlled by some rules, new informations, new technologies. So it is very drastic. And it's very difficult to understand the whole thing.
Yeah, it's going to be radical. It's going to certainly be radical. So, looking on your point of view on the circumstances and all of these events, we already have serious disasters in Australia. We have a Brexit, as you already said, in Europe, and there is an increased tension with Iran. And for example, before you, the previous Sunday, I had called Ehsan to speak with me, but unfortunately they didn't have an internet. And we know also that in the Eastern Mediterranean right now, we have these serious events. When you believe all this tension is going to be relieved and things are going to go back to normality?
As I said, this is just the beginning of the changes. So and this year is rather very depressive because of Jupiter also in Capricorn,
Mm-hmm.
and Jupiter in his fall, and it will conjunct with Pluto 3 times throughout the year. So I would expect that, at least we can't expect some predictable or stable outlook until next year. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, at least maybe there could be a new, fresh, maybe beginning from starting with the Jupiter-Saturn conjunction
Mm-hmm.
in the first degree of Aquarius. But for the entire 2020, it is very risky, and I would expect, some kind of military actions maybe in the Middle East or maybe in the Pacific region. I don't know, but I'm just talking globally.
Mm-hmm.
And you see, for example, in the northern Africa, in Libya, there was a conference in Berlin,
Mm-hmm.
and then every country, I mean, the countries they are racing for, they are in competition because of the geopolitical, changes, or because of their competing interests.
Mm-hmm.
So I think Jupiter in Capricorn is rather very difficult position for kind of for any better conditions for people. I mean, because uh, probably there would be much more power plays and manipulations and menacing. Every country is menacing and one another. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
so at least maybe up to Jupiter Saturn conjunction, I'm not very optimistic, but then it might be a better outlook. 2000, 2021, because Jupiter will be very accelerated, will be very fast, and then it will also goes into Pisces.
Mm-hmm.
So there will be a change of atmosphere, political atmosphere. People, I think, will be even more occupied with some more beneficial or more universal or more maybe humanitarian things. At least I hope so. I mean, after this whole Capricorn
Yeah, of
stuff.
course, of course. And going to more astrological things about how you believe astrology is going to develop. Do you believe there is an increase in Hellenistic astrology, the interest for everything ancient or old astrology? I think is huge right now. People are starting to read about Babylonians, Hellenistic astrology, Arabic, medieval, and all that stuff. What do you believe it is the next thing that is going to be very important in astrology?
Well, this is my own life. I have been seeing this changes when I first stepped into astrology. It was 80s. I became interested in 1983, and at that time, what I learned was more, I read Liz Green uh, and also Stephen Forrest. But of course, I read also Robert Hand. But at that time, it was mostly psychological astrology, as you said, starting from 90s, and because of the joint efforts of three Roberts, Robert Zoller, Robert Schmidt, and Robert Hand, we were able to see a new understanding of our astrology taking shape. And then I also joined into this train in a way, starting from 1999. But first, I just first met with William Lilly, and then I went back to Hellenistic period. And then what I see now, because of we are now more in touch with some more historical sources, ancient texts. I think in a way there could be a new fusion of traditional astrology with our contemporary world, because if you look at these texts, they are written, of course, in the style of in the culture of that age. We need to evaluate them, and then we can't maybe accept them word by word. But now we are able to see more closely the fundamentals and some more technical parts, and also because of the Hellenistic, or let's say the Greek philosophy behind it. I'm just talking about Hellenistic astrology, because we cannot separate Greek philosophy from the Hellenistic astrology. So we need to, I think we need to create of our own age's philosophy with this new information, with this new, with this ancient background. I think every astrologer, including me, we are, making of our own astrologies. An individual combination. For example, I use Uranus and Neptune and Pluto. But there are some, of course, I'm not using, for example, asteroids, but I am fully use of Hellenistic techniques, and I can say that we are now much more helpful to our clients, because now we can base our predictions or base our findings on more concrete or more well-established parts of our astrology. There is much less wishy-washy thinking in the traditional side, but also now because what we gained in the 20th century's astrology, now we are more easy to articulate and make it more human. Make it more human. So we don't need to be fatalistic about maybe ancient.
We have to look about today.
Yeah, and then we can find a balance. We can create a new fusion. So the ancient techniques would be our major framework of our astrology, but also we may we can also utilize from the psychological astrology in order to interpret, or in order to make it clear for our clients much easily, I would say. So it's a good combination. So we don't need to be fanatics, but we need to think. We need to approach the thing from our own age. Look, I mean, but also other things, other changes, other as we talked earlier, the whole this Jupiter-Saturn conjunction in Aquarius. I mean, this would be also very influential for astrology because if you look, you know, when we look at Jupiter-Saturn conjunction in air signs, it was during the high Renaissance period, like in the time of Thomas Aquinas, and I mean it was the high not Renaissance, high scholastic age. So high Middle Ages, I mean. So at that time, if you look at the things, then everything were more theoretical. I mean, so I think there will be a new theoretical base for astrology as well, because our lives will be changing a lot due to this technological and information systems, and you know, we will be so connected with information. Of course, we are going to create new theories of information, or maybe new theories of humankind as well. So our astrology will be much more sophisticated because of the artificial intelligence. Maybe even robots would be astrologers. So I think, because I remember even I didn't have any computer when I was learning astrology. I was just doing with my hand and with a pen and paper, everything with myself manually. But now it's with computers. But later, maybe 20 years later, we will see that even like doctors, the computers or artificial robots, artificial intelligence will be replacing astrologers too, I think. I'm sorry, but I think it could be. It could be.
Yeah, probably, because it is a profession that needs a lot of factors that you need to be considered. Sometimes the human mind cannot calculate all of this. So perhaps an AI may be more sufficient for this job sooner or later. So yeah, I would agree that. Yeah, probably that will happen. So at least we can now do our astrology without having artificial intelligences. So, and what?
We will be jobless.
Yeah, probably, as many people. So I think only those that they work to maintain the artificial intelligence, they are going to have work finally.
Yeah. But what I mean also, I think there will be a new definition of astrology because of this huge
Exactly
in the humankind's mind. And also maybe, of course, I would expect some much more a new maybe relationship with religion as well. I mean, because astrology is somewhere between science and religion for me. I mean, because because in our astrology, not in my astrology, but in the like in Hellenistic astrology, there is a soul inside. So in our
Yeah.
life. So some people base this on religious terms, they could, or some others base their thoughts on certain maybe philosophy like Neoplatonism, or some other stuff, maybe some Indian philosophy, like in Vedic astrology,
Yeah.
karma, and so there are some other competing theories and philosophies, but also there is a religious side in a way, not like a certain religion, I mean, but how we look at life and what is our point of view about life. And so in this age of Aquarius, I would expect that there will be fundamental changes because our relation with the world or with the earth itself is changing. So we are getting more cerebral.
Yeah.
And so our astrology would be more cerebral as well, I would say.
Okay. And about astrology, how things are working, I think that we are right now mostly trying to understand what happens in the past. And I think the past is a huge information about how we can do the proper work that astrology needs in order to counsel people. But we cannot see many new things in astrology. It's like the modern astrologies get stuck and like having a repetition of ideas that they don't go further. At least this is my point of view. You may not agree with that, but I think that modern astrology is like in queue, like waiting what all of the past is going to bring about, is going to bring up to the surface, and then to advance, because we know that in modern astrology has some huge simplicities and mistakes sometimes, and this is oversimplification finally demotes the importance of being human and analyzing humans. So if we go further and let's go, for example, in 10 or in 15 years, do you believe that there is going to be a reaction from modern astrology, something like a new theory or something that is going to be groundbreaking? Or you believe that the past is the one that is going to inspire us?
Yeah, I also say I was trying to make it clear that there could be that we need to of course the past, the history has a great impact on our looking at the things, but I think this could only change when we change our relation with the earth itself. So I think the thing is the secret, or the important things depends on our civilization, the changes in our civilization, because you know much more better than me. I mean, as a psychologist, I mean, I think, for example, neuroscience and also the functions of how our consciousness is functioning, and what is our consciousness. I mean, the consciousness and the neuroscience, and also maybe quantum mechanics, they could maybe give certain direction to create a new understanding or a new definition for astrology. But I am very vague in my speech, in my words, because it is, I think, for example, how Einstein changed the way in science, if you compare with Isaac Newton. So now I think the science, the whole human culture, human science, our civilization, if we arrive to a new nexus, a new point, then of course our astrology will be also different. And so I think even history, of course, some certain texts, we are subscribed to these teachings, but our approach to them will be different. So it depends on our next human leap, human advancement. I can always say, but of course we cannot go back to back. We cannot look at backwards.
Yeah.
But also this is the change in astrology depends also. It is very slow and it depends on other things, on our individual capabilities, and it is very subtle and it is very slow change. Because now astrology, there are astrologies as the number of astrologers in a way. So I think there will be, of course, a change depending on these major social human changes in the world.
Now, going back to 2020, because a lot of people that they want your point of view, talking about the eclipses, which eclipse you believe it is the most difficult, and which eclipse perhaps may hide some hidden treasures, or perhaps there is an eclipse in 2020 that is doing both? So what is your opinion about that?
In terms of, normally when I look at the solar eclipses, if you mean solar eclipses,
or lunar, if you remember them, you can also speak about lunar eclipses of 2020.
Yeah. Well, first I'm just opening up my computer, so I'm just looking at the degrees. Just let me.
Yeah, of course.
Okay. So in terms of solar eclipses, firstly, because the last one, which happened 26th of December, it was a south node eclipse, and I always differentiate them because of their whether they are south or north node eclipses. And south node eclipses, they are more destabilizing. Because the south node, or the tail of the dragon, actually it deals with certain destruction, certain disintegration, and I resemble Christoph eclipses like a river of time, and the river flows from south to north, like from the past to the future. And the south south eclipses, they tend to produce more as if they are times of necessary changes. Something needs to be released
Mm-hmm.
at the south node. So if you look at then the time period between south node to the north node, and then it takes more or less 6 months, and in this case, so
Mm-hmm.
because there will be a solar eclipse in Cancer, and this will be on the 21st of June, in the very middle of the year, and because it is also 0-degree Cancer, the next eclipse, the second one, the Cancer, it is also very for the very strong one in terms of what we are having now. I mean, because in the first half of this year, especially when Mars will be in Capricorn,
Mm-hmm.
as I said, I am very anxious about certain military actions, like there is a bully against Iran, and so there's a we are in a tension. The tension is very high now.
Mm-hmm.
And now in the second half of the year, and because of an eclipse on the northern north node, I think this will be an eclipse, will be a very essential one for human being, because the Cancer is the sign of the human,
Mm-hmm.
and what is humanistic. I mean, more caring and more protecting and more nurturing sign. And
Mm-hmm.
because it will be in the 0-degree of Cancer, this will be very visible in terms of mundane astrology, because the 0 degrees of cardinal signs, they are almost very visible, they are they always manifest themselves in the world in a very apparent way.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say that the second eclipse, the Cancer eclipse, something which could maybe take care or correct what is wrong in the first half of the year. So, but also, of course, there will be an urgency of this, because 0-degree is something new, but also something very urgent, because
Mm-hmm.
Cancer also
Yes.
is a cardinal sign. There are, in terms of other eclipses, lunar eclipses, I found some others. Let me check off. Yeah, there are some one. Just let me look at them. For example, one is, I think, this eclipse in the in Sagittarius, a lunar eclipse in Sagittarius, on the 5th of June. This is, it appears to me quite dangerous, again, quite destabilizing, because this eclipse
Mm-hmm.
also is in a T-square with Mars and Neptune in Pisces.
Yeah.
And this is very, how can I say, unstable Mars in Pisces, but also conjunct with Neptune. I am rather anxious again. This would maybe something, maybe a natural event,
Mm-hmm.
partly because of the seas and waters, or some, like something major earthquake, maybe, or kind of, because Poseidon, the Neptune, is always related with some earthly activity as well, seismic activity and earthquakes. And with Mars, it would be quite dangerous. And so this is something,
Mm-hmm.
again, I think for me, a kind of very drastic very dangerous eclipse for me. There would be some other maybe concerns about, not maybe for, if it is not for Earth natural events, it would relate to something about religious thing.
Yeah.
Because Moon in Sagittarius and Mars, the Mars is in a part-time square to both lights, because at the 15 degree of Pisces and 15 degree of Sagittarius, 15 degree of Gemini. This is too much. I need Mars at 15 degree. So this would be also kind of difficult for example, for Iran maybe, because Iran has Mars in Pisces in its natal chart. And for Turkey, our Turkey has MC mid-heaven in Pisces at 16 degrees of Pisces.
Yeah.
So this would be, when I was writing, because I do write yearly, predictions for Turkey each year, and they are very well read. Anyway, so I think maybe there might be this, natural gas thing in the Mediterranean Sea.
Yeah.
So, our countries are competing in a way. So there is a dispute about this drilling in the sea, in the Mediterranean, around Cyprus. So I think that could be kind of a clash. I don't know. I hope not.
Yeah, me too, but let's be realistic. It may be a problem, and
It might be a small one.
yeah, and I want to share with me also your opinion about this Mercury going retrograde and this Mars going retrograde this year. We have two retrogradations, and a lot of people, usually with Venus retrograde, they are saying that something may come about love matters. What is your opinion about that? And also about this Mars going retrograde and creating a very unstable thing. And some people also, they may say about wars and etc.
Each planet's retrograde brings some certain elements of change and shift, and when a planet goes retrograde, its natural function becomes kind of more introvert, and it becomes more inconsistent in a way. So in terms for Venus, of course, it's a time period for an adjustment in our relationships, in our daily life. Some issues about women, some issues about fashion, some issues about our marriages or our friendships. There could be shuffles and changes, and it is very inconsistent time period. But for Mars, of course, I usually recommend my friends or my clients that don't make any hasty decisions and don't begin an important decision, especially in business terms.
Yeah.
Mars retrogrades, they are very shaky periods that we might regret that our decisions were based on some maybe wrong assumptions, and wrong, issues, I would say.
Okay. So, am I going to read Hakan in English finally? Are you going to translate any of your books in English?
Well, it is my problem. You touched on a very special point. I mean, a very personal thing, that I need to organize. I need to find a good maybe translator, but I can't find time because of other things always competing with my projects. I mean, I'm just rushing to other,
Okay.
problems at hand.
Okay. And what is your current plans that perhaps people and English audience may be interested in hearing and participating?
I really would like to my the journey of the soul. My book on prenatal eclipses should be translated as soon as possible. But also, I have a major astrology book which was I wrote in 2005 on based on traditional astrology.
Mm-hmm.
The big one. And also there are some other projects, but this year again I'm going to visit Italy, maybe in summertime, but I will be in St. Petersburg for the conference organized by University of Wales with Karin Dilanyan from ISAR as well. She's the Russian director of ISAR, and then there will be academic, and then I would be in Helsinki this year, but it's not exact yet. And also we will be meeting in in ISAR conference.
Exactly, in Colorado, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, if you have any message for the people, anything that you'd like to share before we close?
Yeah, thank you very much, Christo, inviting me. I'm sorry because of all these things happened because of my connection problem.
It's okay. The interviewer is okay. Your picture is fine and your voice is okay, so people will like it.
Yeah, and I send my best wishes to everyone and also my friends in Greece.
Thank you very much. It would be a pleasure. Okay. Well, my friends, see you again the next week. Hakan, have a good night because in Athens and Istanbul, yes, it's late night, guys. Bye-bye.
Yes, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.